To start this review, I'm going to tell a little story for you. It's Aelita related, so don't worry. I got into Aelita way late in 2002, in the fall, watching every episode on rerun that I could possibly get until I got the entire episodic order around December of that year. Around that same time, I'd become a little bit famous for being a caller on a sports talk radio show. I was so popular, in fact, that whenever I would make radio remote get-togethers, which would be the social gatherings of all the different fans of the show, I was so popular that I could literally announce my presence, and anybody that could make it would make it. Combined with the success of Code Lyoko and just my general thought process at the time, it was one of the happiest moments of my life. And it's funny that it happened around the beginning of the second season. But Lord, did it take us some time to get there. A year and a half it took. Fans were left completely in the dark between then. There wasn't a Code Lyoko website. There wasn't a thing called X. There was nothing. Just, you had to wait. Many people started to think that Code Lyoko was a one season and done. That we'd never see it again. Then, Cartoon Network summer happened. And in that Cartoon Network summer, right before the September fall seasons, Cartoon Network decided to do a special highlighting the shows upcoming for the fall, showing off things like new episodes of Ben 10 and others. But the Magoozy block got special interest, showing off new shows that would be joining the block. But most importantly, Code Lyoko was returning. After a year and a half, for the first time in that long, we were treated to the opening minutes of what would be the season opener. It blew my mind. That season opener would then debut in late August. The episode name, New Order. Now, you would think that title has no relevancy, nothing, right? To me, looking back on it, New Order was exactly the perfect title for this season opener. Not only for what the episodes brought to the table, but it was a declaration from the writing and staff of Code Lyoko. This show was going to be different. Very different. Status quos were going to get shook. Change was coming. And that change was almost immediate. Gone was the plain Jane, boring, low-effort intro And in was a brand new intro. An intro's intro. Yes, it's spoilerific as heck. If you can look between the twists and turns of the famous Lyoko symbol, between once again getting that earworm, a world without danger, stuck in your head again. Plus, Moonscope, a company we'd never heard of, ushered in the presents, unlike last season. And Code Lyoko had a logo for once. Silver, embroidered in red, and the episode number also preceded the name of the episode. Everything was different. And that first scene, the one that was teased all the way back in July, was the first thing shown. And in that first scene, we're back in Lyoko's desert section, doing a test of the first new thing. Virtual vehicles. The overbike, overwing, and overboard. Yes, Jeremy's naming conventions suck. He has no originality whatsoever, even in his character type. But these new vehicles are the first immediate game changer, if not the improvements in the CGI itself being a game changer. See, instead of using the old digitized dots and digitized actors, they decided to go full CGI the whole way through with improvements to the system. The biggest improvements: the mouths move, the eyes blink, the animations cleaner, less stuttery. Yes, it's got a brighter contrast than in the previous season. For some, a little too high, but the improvement is right away. As our heroes are testing the vehicles, they get interrupted by the group of the usual Xana monsters that have flooded our minds for 26 episodes, but a new one. A new one with no name. A spider-like creature with two big machine guns. And this thing is a big threat and introduced as one. Only one of these were introduced here, and the warriors, even with their new vehicles, can't do a thing to stop it. As far as Aelita goes, she's sent to safety. And we see the use of Code Earth once again, meaning the ending to what has happened before has completely stuck. But this notion right here is the first and most sneaky, subtle change. Originally in the series Bible, this wasn't supposed to be a thing, but it is. Even so much so that the show brings it up once the battle is over. That Aelita should go back, instituting the season 1 rule at the end that she would have to go back. But the Lyoko Warriors have a happy little surprise, and thus the status quo gets shook for the first time. Jeremy, in the year and a half that has gone by apparently, has developed a super scanner. And trust me, this thing is more accurate than the old one. Much faster. Meaning, Aelita doesn't have to play patrols with it anymore. And she's now in the school as a boarder, like everyone else. Big shift, smart shift, win. The good feelings of Code Earth, we finally get to exhale and relax. Our pink-haired goddess is going to be around in the school constantly. Good. Of course, she's given a fake name. The worst fake name in the history of fake names. Aelita Stones. And yes, it was Odd's idea. And it's still bad. 19 to 18 years later, it's still bad. But, other than that, everything is normal. But again, in this episode that's already shooken up the status quo 3 freaking times already, there's a 4th status quo change in the introduction of the single most useless character in the history of the show, sans 1 season. William Dunbar. You see, the writers had a smart-ass idea of turning the will they won't they, the worst thing in Code Lyoko between Oric and Yumi, into Miraculous Ladybug. Yes, we got ourselves a love triangle, and it's the worst kind of love triangle. That one that you know there isn't a triangle, but they're giving you the idea that there might be. Which is causing semi-division, naturally, between our 2 wannabe lovebirds. As far as the school is concerned, they're on a little scientific field trip, looking for pictures of flowers. Yes, it doesn't seem like much. Until the plot kicks in, of course. Aelita is getting strange visions. Wolves in the forest. Places that she thinks she's never been to. Weirdness. It adds that Lyoko horror vibe back in the show. Heavy. And believe me, these little flash visions are going to become part of the deal for the entire season. These things aren't going away. And neither are Aelita's nightmares. They're going to be consistent throughout the rest of the deal. Some of them for bittersweet reasons, but we'll get to those. But for right now, combined with the trouble of the brand new monsters that Odd names tarantulas. Why? Because he likes giving monsters a name. Aelita finds herself at a hermitage. And oddly enough, even though we've never been here, and she can't remember she's been here, she seems to know the way around the place a little too much. As the visions get worse, and of course Jeremy's paranoia kicks in, he sent he sends Odd out to get her rightfully. Meanwhile, Yumi and Oric are, well, in trouble of their own soon enough. Tossed into a sauna. Man. Xana's a little bit cold here. And oddly enough, to fit that coldness, the tower is activated in the polar region. But with the normal way to the factory locked off, when Odd finally catches up with her, Aelita, for some odd reason, remembers a hidden tunnel from the hermitage to the factory itself. She's dead on the money. And it's essentially up to Odd and Aelita alone to save the lovebirds. As they're baking, they're forced to confess their current issues. It looks like they're finally going to confess. But just know, they don't. But it's in the second Lyoko scene that we get to see the vehicles at best play, especially Odd and his overboard. Aelita provides distraction, using the overwing to be faster than the new tarantulas. And Odd decides to take him on 1v1 in a rather thrilling and action-packed scene, triggered and backed by the new track that's going to be the main virtualization track from here on out, named Virtualization. It's on the soundtrack that was released around season 4. It's good. It's very good. Sure enough, Odd manages to get the job done single-handedly, just like he did in Teddy Godzilla. But now the pressure's on, and the mystery of the house is on. This, combined with the antivirus, is our Season 2 arc. And believe me, by the end of this thing, you're going to be exhausted. And by the end of it, just like I have been for the last 19 years of my life, I am single-handedly convinced that this season is the second best season of animated television done anywhere. This, unlike Teddy Godzilla, is focused, driven. It has its ducks in a row. It brings up old information from the previous season, continuing forward. The episodic format is dead. Now the show runs on storylines. Notes bullet points. They're going to be in every episode something you're going to have to remember. Somewhere, someone, some conversation, something, everything from this point on matters. Yes, and we get the cuteness of Aelita getting her own phone, which is pink, obviously. But it's the mysteries that New Order sets up, the danger that New Order sets up. And trust me, things are going to get immediately more dangerous. Very, very quickly. The status quo and just New Order alone gets shooken up 4 times. This is a 5 out of 6 episode. And yes, if you're looking at the timer and saying 20 minutes, yes, that's how feature-packed these episodes are. Gone will be the 7-minute quickies. This season is important. Almost every episode in the season has something relevant to say. There isn't much filler here. And believe me, you're gonna want the few filler breaks that this season gives you. And we're underway. Next week, uncharted territory. And just like New Order at a point in its naming convention, so does this one. The status quo ain't done getting shooken up. In fact, it's gonna take us another 3 episodes before the shaking stops. Until next week, I'm Nirvana Sparkle. Find peace in your own Nirvana. And yes, Sissy tries to cheat and, well, completely fails at it. There, I mentioned Sissy, okay? I'll see you next week.